Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're BookCast FM, bringing books to life, one cast at a time.
Hello, and today we're digging into some really fascinating material.
Yeah, we've got insights based on Will Guidara's book, Unreasonable Hospitality, the remarkable power of giving people more than they expect.
And our goal here, our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward. We want to unpack what this whole unreasonable hospitality thing is really about.
Right. How does turning regular service into this, super generous act actually elevate things, businesses, experiences?
Even our own lives, potentially. It's got broad applications.
Absolutely. And Guidara's background is high-end dining, 11 Madison Park, that level. But as we'll explore, this isn't just about fancy restaurants.
No, not at all. It's a mindset. It's about connection, really. Applicable pretty much anywhere.
Okay, so let's get straight to the core idea, the book's thesis.
Right. Guidara puts it simply. When you give people more than they expect, you turn ordinary transactions into extraordinary experiences.
Okay, simple but powerful. He makes a key distinction early on, though, doesn't he, between service and hospitality?
He does, and it's crucial. He uses this great line, service is black and white, hospitality is color.
I love that. So service is the basics, getting it right.
Exactly. It's the technical stuff. The checklist. Did the food arrive? Was it correct? Is the place clean? It's functional, black and white. Necessary, but
not enough.
Not for extraordinary. Hospitality, that's the color, that's the feeling. It's making someone feel genuinely seen, cared for, like they matter. Service is what you do for them. Hospitality is how you make them feel.
Okay, that makes sense. But the unreasonable part still jumps out.
Yeah.
Does he mean, being irrational, spending wildly?
That's a fair question, and he's clear it's not about being irresponsible or reckless with resources.
Okay.
Unreasonable means going beyond the expected norms, beyond what's strictly necessary or rational in that specific moment to create something memorable. It's generously irrational, maybe, but deeply personal.
So thoughtful, not just random.
Precisely. It's often about stepping outside the standard rules or procedures because you see a specific human opportunity. It's the magic, the surprise, but it needs a solid foundation.
Which connects to his 955 rule later, but this whole philosophy, it seems, came from a specific moment, right? That fork in the road at 11 Madison Park.
Yes, chapter 1, that's the genesis story. EMP was already, world-class, technically brilliant food, flawless service. They were hitting all the marks for fine dining service.
Sounds like the pinnacle.
It was, but Guidara felt something was missing. He actually uses the word soulless. It had technical perfection, but lacked warmth, real human connection.
Wow. To be at the top and feel that, that's tough. So the choice was keep polishing the machine.
Or pivot, radically. The fork in the road was keep perfecting the already refined service or completely reimagine the restaurant's identity around meaningful hospitality.
A big gamble. Betting on feelings over features almost.
Totally. And he chose hospitality. He decided the focus shouldn't just be on the amazing chef or the beautiful room.
But on the guest.
Exactly. Making the customer the hero of their own experience at the restaurant. How do we make this person feel incredibly special tonight?
And that's where the hot dog story fits in, right?
Yeah.
It feels like the perfect example of this shift in action.
It really is iconic for the book. So a group of diners is talking. One mentions they're visiting New York and have never tried a classic street vendor hot dog.
Okay. Most high-end places might just ignore that or politely suggest a vendor later.
Right. But the EMP team, operating under this new hospitality mindset, saw an opportunity. They actually sent a staff member out to a street cart.
No way. During service.
Yep. Got the hot dog, brought it back into the super refined kitchen.
And then what? Just handed it over?
No, this is the unreasonable part. They plated it beautifully, presented it on fine china or a silver platter as an extra unexpected course in their fancy tasting menu.
That is brilliant and kind of absurd in the best way. But was it practical? You can't do that for everyone.
And that's the point. It wasn't about setting a new standard service step. It was about being aware, listening, and being empowered to seize that specific moment for that specific guest.
So low cost in terms of money.
Tiny cost for the hot dog itself, but huge emotional value. It showed they were listening, they cared, and they were willing to break the script, to do something unexpected and delightful. It became a symbol of their philosophy.
Okay, so this experience, this pivot, leads him to develop these core principles.
Yeah.
Let's talk about culture first. He really emphasizes that, right? Hospitality starts inside.
Absolutely fundamental. Chapters 3, 19, 20 really drive this home. You simply cannot create genuine, unreasonable hospitality for your guests if you're not practicing it with your own team first.
He has that quote, "You must be just as unreasonable in your commitment to your team."
As you are to your guests. It's powerful. It has to be authentic inside and out.
And that links to Chapter 3's idea. How you do anything is how you do everything. How does that build culture?
It's about setting a standard of excellence and care in everything, even the small stuff. His example of obsessing over clean bathrooms isn't just for guests.
Right. It signals to the team, too.
Exactly. It shows the team. We care about details. We strive for excellence everywhere, even where it's less visible. Things like rigorous pre-service meetings, they build discipline, trust, and reinforce the values constantly.
Then there's lead with love in Chapter 19. That sounds maybe a bit soft for business.
It might sound that way, but he frames it as a conscious leadership strategy. It means creating emotional safety, making people feel supported, valued.
How does that look practically?
Being generous with specific praise, not just generic stuff. Truly listening, showing you care about them as individuals beyond their job function. He tells a story about arranging this spontaneous team celebration after a really tough stretch. That's leading with love, showing up for your people.
So putting that together, Chapter 20, create a culture of hospitality. It's about mirroring, right? Treating employees like you want them to treat guests.
You got it. You can't sustainably ask your team to pour energy and care into guests if their own cups aren't being filled. The internal reality must match the external promise. You build rituals, habits, ways of being that demonstrate care for the team.
Okay, culture is set. Now, how do you actually make the magic happen for guests? Chapters 4, 5, 10 talk about generosity and magic. Make it magical. Chapter 4.
This is about intentional design, not just hoping for happy accidents, but actively looking for and creating moments of surprise and delight.
The snow machine story.
The ultimate example. A family dining mentions their kids have never seen snow, so the team arranges a snow machine outside the window for them as they leave.
Wow.
Again, probably not a huge cost relative to their overall budget, but the emotional impact, unforgettable, creating a core memory. That's magic born from empathy, plus the willingness to be a little unreasonable.
And the rule of 955 from Chapter 5 provides the structure for this. Makes it less random.
Exactly. This is the practical engine for enabling magic. Guidara says, okay, 95% of your effort, your resources, needs to go into rock-solid execution. Efficiency, consistency, technical skill, top design. The foundation.
The service part.
Service part done excellently. But then you must consciously reserve that last 5%. Could be 5% of time, budget, energy, creativity, specifically for these acts of unreasonable hospitality.
So it empowers the team. Gives them permission.
Yes, it creates a framework, like the story of the team getting a birthday cake for a guest's dog that was waiting outside. That's a perfect 5% moment. Small cost, maybe broke a minor rule, but huge emotional payoff for the guest, enabled by this principle.
And underpinning all this magic, Chapter 10 identifies the one thing that changes everything. And that is?
Generosity. But not just giving free stuff.
Right, it's broader than that.
Much broader. It's emotional generosity, giving your focus, your attention, your genuine care, showing people they matter. That quote nails it. The most powerful thing you can give someone is the feeling that they matter.
Like the story of the solo diner.
Yeah, who received a special dessert inspired by her hometown. They'd clearly listened, maybe done a little quick research. It wasn't about the dessert itself. It was the gesture. We see you. We heard you. You're important enough for this effort. That's profound generosity.
So you need the philosophy, the culture, the generosity.
Yeah.
But then you have to execute. Chapters 8, 9, 12, 18, focus here. Write the dialogue. Chapter 8. Language.
Huge. Words shape reality. Perception. Being intentional about the language you use is critical, both externally with guests and internally with the team.
Like changing standard phrases.
Yeah, shifting from a generic enjoy your meal to something like we're really excited for you to try this. It changes the energy completely. It goes from passive to shared excitement.
And internally too.
Definitely. Consistently calling customers guests instead of tables or covers. It seems small, but it constantly reinforces the human focus for the team.
Speed also seems vital. Chapter 9. Shorten the distance between the idea and the action.
Oh, absolutely critical. A great idea loses its impact if the execution lags. Quick action amplifies the thoughtfulness.
The lost stuffed animal story.
Perfect example. Finding out a child lost their beloved toy. The team not only finds a replacement, but overnights it to their hotel. It arrives the next morning. That speed turns a thoughtful gesture into something that feels almost like a miracle to that family. It screams, "You are our priority."
And maybe the most basic but hardest element, be present. Chapter 12.
It underpins everything else, really. How can you spot an opportunity for hospitality if you're not truly paying attention?
In our distracted world, it's a rare gift.
It really is. Undivided attention is an act of generosity itself. Guidara says, people don't just want to be served, they want to be seen. And you can't see someone unless you're present.
So noticing that quiet, regular guest, the one who doesn't ask for much.
And finding a small way to acknowledge them, tailor the experience slightly. That comes from being present and observant.
And everything speaks. Chapter 18 kind of ties all execution together. Every little detail matters.
Yes. It means recognizing that every single touch point communicates something about your values and your attention to detail, whether you intended to or not.
Like a frayed menu or a dirty welcome mat.
Exactly. Those things speak volumes, potentially undermining all the other efforts. But equally, a beautifully presented check, a warm farewell, those reinforce the message of care. Intentionality in every detail builds trust.
Okay, doing all this, especially if it's new in your field, takes guts. It requires boldness. Chapters 7, 14, 16 touch on this. Be the crazy one. Chapter 7.
You kind of have to be. To achieve something truly extraordinary, you need the courage to challenge norms, to do things differently, even if others think it's a bit nuts.
If it doesn't feel a little crazy, it's probably not worth doing.
That's his mantra, like arranging that spontaneous picnic in Central Park for a guest. Totally outside the standard restaurant playbook, right? But unforgettable. Crazy, but brilliant.
And it's not about sacrificing excellence for this. Chapter 14. Be the best at what you do, then go even further.
Right. Excellence is the foundation, the permission slip. You have to master the fundamentals of your craft first. Then, from that base of competence, you earn the right to push boundaries, to add these layers of emotional connection and generosity.
Aiming for a category of one.
Yeah, not just being the best in your category, but creating a whole new category defined by your unique blend of skill and soul.
And this whole approach, this blend, was their road to number 1, chapter 16, getting EMP ranked best in the world. But he says it wasn't just about the award.
No, the ranking was an outcome, but the journey was fueled by this vision, this commitment to being authentically themselves, to humanizing fine dining. He reflects that they didn't win just because they were the most technically perfect.
But because they were the most ourselves.
Exactly. They leaned into their unique philosophy of hospitality, and that resonated.
The book doesn't shy away from the costs, though. Chapter 17 and 23, cracks in the foundation, the long goodbye. They acknowledge the human toll.
Yeah, he's commendably honest about the immense pressure, the strain on partnerships, the difficulties that came with that intense pursuit of being number one.
Standing on top of the world, but we were no longer standing side by side.
It's a poignant reminder that even incredible success can come with significant personal challenges and sometimes painful endings. It adds a layer of realism.
And then he wraps it all up with this powerful idea in chapter 24. Put your name on it. What's that about?
It's essentially a personal manifesto. It's about taking ownership, about recognizing that every action you take, every task you perform is a reflection of you and your values.
So even small things.
Especially small things. When you approach everything with that sense of personal responsibility, as if your name is literally signed to it, that's where pride comes from. That's where integrity lives. And, he argues, that's where the real magic starts, when your actions genuinely reflect your deepest values.
Okay, so let's try and summarize this deep dive. Unreasonable hospitality, as Will Guidara presents it. It's this potent mix, isn't it?
It really is. It blends top-notch execution, that 95% rigor,
with intentional, often surprising generosity and emotional connection, the 5% magic.
Built on a bedrock of strong internal culture where the team feels valued.
Executed with attention to every detail, presence, and the right language.
And fueled by the boldness to challenge norms and really connect on a human level.
And crucially, it's not just for restaurants. It's a mindset applicable anywhere we interact with people, making them feel seen, creating moments worth remembering.
Turning the ordinary into something extraordinary.
So here's something to maybe chew on after this. Where in your own life, maybe today or this week, could you put your name on it?
Like, what's one small interaction, one task, where you could consciously choose to inject a little extra care, a bit more generosity?
Not because you have to, but just because it reflects your values. Giving someone just a little more than they might expect.
It's a powerful thought. And again, all these fantastic insights and stories come from Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara.
Definitely. If anything we've discussed today sparked your interest, we really encourage you to check out the book. Support the author, dive deeper. There's a link in the description.
It's well worth the read. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive.
From BookCast FM, bringing books to life one cast at a time. We hope this was valuable, and we'll catch you next time.